It was a sunny morning in New York City. Afia Johnson, a 19-year-old maid, was working in Mr. Theodore Harrison's mansion. Theodore, or Mr. Theo as everyone called him, was one of the richest men in the country. His house was so big, Afia often got lost trying to find her way around. That morning, Afia had been given the task of cleaning the upstairs guest rooms. She carried her bucket of cleaning supplies and a mop as she hummed a cheerful tune. Everything seemed normal until she opened the wrong door. Afia thought it was just another guest bathroom. She swung the door open and stepped inside, only to find herself staring at the billionaire himself. Mr. Theo was standing there, brushing his teeth, wearing his robe. His hair was messy, and toothpaste foam was dripping from his mouth. Afia froze. "Oh no, I'm so sorry, Mr. Theo," Afia blurted out, covering her eyes with her hands. She started to back out of the bathroom, but her foot slipped on the shiny marble floor. Her cleaning supplies flew out of her hands, and she landed on her back with a loud thud. Mr. Theo turned around, still holding his toothbrush, and looked at her in surprise. For a second there was silence. Then, to Afia's shock, he started laughing. It wasn't a mean laugh. It was a deep, warm chuckle that filled the room. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling down to help her up. Afia's cheeks turned bright red as she tried to pick herself up. "I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm so sorry for barging in here," she said, her voice shaky. Mr. Theo handed her the mop which had landed on the sink. "Don't worry about it. This house is so big, even I sometimes forget which room is which." Afia let out a nervous laugh, still embarrassed. "I'll get out of your way now," she said. But Mr. Theo stopped her. "Wait a second," he said, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. "You're the new maid, right?" "Afia?" Afia nodded. "Yes, sir. I just started last week." Mr. Theo smiled. "Well, Afia, since you're here, maybe you can help me solve a mystery. I've been looking for something important, and I can't find it anywhere." Afia's embarrassment faded, replaced by curiosity. "What are you looking for?" Mr. Theo leaned closer, as if he were about to share a big secret. "A very old, very special key. It's somewhere in this house, but I have no idea where. They say it opens a door to something magical." Afia's eyes widened. "Magical?" Mr. Theo grinned. "That's what my grandfather used to say. Want to help me look for it?" Afia hesitated. She was supposed to be cleaning, but how could she say no to such an exciting offer? She nodded eagerly. "Okay, I'll help." And so began the unexpected adventure of Afia and Mr. Theo. Little did they know, the search for the key would lead them to uncover secrets hidden within the mansion's walls. The first place they decided to search was the library, a room so large it had its own ladder to reach the highest shelves. Mr. Theo explained that the key had been missing for decades, but his grandfather's journals hinted it might be hidden among old books or inside a secret compartment. Afia's eyes sparkled as she ran her fingers across the rows of leather-bound volumes. "This place is like a treasure chest," she said, pulling out a book titled The Hidden History of the Harrison Family. As she flipped through the pages, a yellowed envelope fell out. "What's that?" Mr. Theo asked, stepping closer. Afia picked it up carefully. The envelope was sealed with wax, and the emblem looked like an intricate key. "Should we open it?" she whispered. Mr. Theo nodded. "Let's see what's inside." Afia broke the seal and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Written in elegant handwriting were the words, "The key lies where light and water meet." "What does that mean?" Afia asked, her brow furrowed. Mr. Theo's eyes lit up with recognition. "The fountain room," he said. "It's the only place in this house where sunlight hits the water just right. Let's go." Afia followed him down the grand staircase, her heart pounding with excitement. The fountain room was one of the most beautiful parts of the mansion, with a large marble fountain surrounded by glass walls. Sunlight streamed through, making the water sparkle like diamonds. "If the clue is right, the key should be here," Mr. Theo said, scanning the room. Afia crouched by the fountain, looking closely at the base. "There's something carved here," she said, brushing away dust to reveal an inscription. It read, "Turn the water to reveal the past." Afia looked up at Mr. Theo. "Should we try it?" Mr. Theo nodded. "Go ahead." Afia reached for the fountain's handle and turned it slowly. The sound of rushing water filled the room, and then, to their amazement, a hidden panel slid open in the wall. Behind it was a small, ornate box. "Do you think the key is inside?" Afia whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. Mr. Theo reached for the box, but just as he touched it, the lights flickered, and a faint creaking sound echoed through the room. Both of them froze. "What was that?" Afia asked, her eyes wide. Mr. Theo smiled nervously. "I guess we're about to find out." Just as Mr. Theo lifted the box, a section of the marble floor beneath them shifted slightly, as though triggered by the fountain's activation. Afia staggered, gripping the edge of the fountain to steady herself. "This is getting stranger by the second," she said. Mr. Theo carefully opened the box. Inside was not a key but a folded map. The paper looked ancient, with edges frayed and a faint, mysterious glow emanating from its surface. "It's a map," Mr. Theo said, his voice filled with awe. "But to where?" Afia peered over his shoulder. The map showed the layout of the mansion, but there was an area marked in red, a part of the house Afia had never seen before. "Is that a hidden room?" she asked. Mr. Theo nodded slowly. "It seems so, and it's beneath us." Afia's eyes widened. "You mean there's another level to this mansion?" Before Mr. Theo could respond, the creaking sound grew louder. A trapdoor near the fountain began to open, revealing a spiral staircase leading down into the darkness. "I guess we're going down," Mr. Theo said, holding up the map. "Are you ready, Afia?" Afia hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Let's find out what's down there." Afia gripped the edge of her mop handle tightly, feeling both nervous and excited as she followed Mr. Theo down the spiral staircase. The air grew cooler with each step, and the sound of the fountain above faded into a hushed silence. The staircase ended in a narrow hallway, lit by flickering lanterns mounted on the walls. "These must have been here for years," Mr. Theo said, inspecting one of the lanterns. "Look at the cobwebs." Afia wrinkled her nose. "This place feels like something out of a movie." The map showed a red X at the end of the hallway, where a large arched wooden door stood. Its surface was carved with strange symbols that neither Afia nor Mr. Theo recognized. "Do you think this is it?" Afia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Theo nodded, running his fingers over the carvings. "It has to be, but there's no keyhole." Afia frowned, studying the door. Then she noticed something on the floor, tiny grooves forming the outline of a key. "Wait," she said, pointing. "Maybe the key isn't for the door. Maybe it's for the floor." Mr. Theo raised an eyebrow. "You might be right, but we still don't have the key." Afia bit her lip. "What if the map is a clue? Maybe the key is hidden in another part of the mansion?" Mr. Theo opened the map again and squinted at it. "There's something written here," he said, holding it closer to the lantern. In faded letters, the words read, "The heart of the house will reveal the truth." "The heart of the house?" Afia repeated, confused. "What does that mean?" Mr. Theo thought for a moment. Then his face lit up. "The dining room. It's the center of the mansion, and it's where my family always gathered. If there's a heart to this house, that's it." Afia smiled. "Then let's go." They hurried back up the spiral staircase, following the map to the grand dining room. The table was massive, stretching nearly the entire length of the room, with tall candelabras that hadn't been used in years. Above the table hung an enormous crystal chandelier, shimmering in the faint afternoon light. Afia looked around. "If the key is here, where would it be?" Mr. Theo glanced up at the chandelier. "My grandfather used to tell me stories about the chandelier," he said. "He said it held more than just crystals. Maybe it's hiding something." Afia's eyes widened. "You think the key could be up there?" "Only one way to find out," Mr. Theo said, grabbing a long pole from the corner of the room. He used it to carefully tap one of the crystals. Nothing happened. Then he tapped another, and a soft click echoed through the room. The center of the chandelier opened, and a small metal object fell onto the dining table with a clink. Afia and Mr. Theo rushed over to see what it was. "It's the key!" Afia gasped, picking it up. It was old and intricate, with the same emblem she'd seen on the wax seal. Mr. Theo grinned. "Now we can find out what's behind that door." They dashed back to the fountain room, excitement buzzing between them. Afia held the key tightly as they descended the spiral staircase once more. When they reached the arched door, She knelt down and inserted the key into the groove on the floor. The ground rumbled slightly as the outline of the key lit up, glowing softly. Slowly, the arched door began to slide open, revealing a hidden chamber bathed in golden light. Afia and Mr. Theo stepped inside, their mouths falling open in amazement. The room was filled with treasures, jewels, gold coins, and artifacts from all over the world. But in the center of the room stood something far more extraordinary, a pedestal with a glowing orb resting on top. "What is that?" Afia whispered. Mr. Theo stepped closer, his eyes wide. "I think it's the secret my grandfather was protecting. It's more than just treasure. It's magic." The orb pulsed with light as they approached, and a soft voice seemed to echo in the air around them. "To those who seek the truth, tread carefully, for the past holds more than answers." Afia shivered, her curiosity growing stronger. "What do we do now?" she asked. Mr. Theo looked at her, then back at the orb. "We find out what it wants to show us." He reached out and touched the orb. Instantly, the golden light enveloped them both, and the room began to shift and change. The treasures faded away, replaced by images of a time long past, of people, places, and secrets buried deep within the Harrison family's history. Afia grabbed Mr. Theo's arm. "I think we're about to learn more than we bargained for." And so their adventure took another unexpected turn as the glowing orb began to reveal the mansion's deepest mysteries. The golden light swirled around Afia and Mr. Theo, casting shimmering reflections on the walls of the hidden chamber. The images projected by the orb became clearer, showing scenes from a time long ago. In one vision, they saw a young man who looked strikingly like Mr. Theo, wearing old-fashioned clothes and standing beside a woman with kind eyes. She held a small, ornate box, the same one they had just found in the fountain room. "That's my grandfather," Mr. Theo whispered. "And is that my grandmother? I've never seen her picture before." The scene shifted, showing the young couple in the mansion's library. They were talking urgently, and though the words were silent, Afia and Mr. Theo could sense the tension. The woman opened the box and pulled out a glowing key, identical to the one they had just used. She handed it to the man, who nodded gravely and walked away. Then, the vision changed again. The young man was now older, standing in the same hidden chamber where Afia and Mr. Theo stood. He placed the glowing key into the orb, and a blinding light filled the room. When the light faded, the orb dimmed, and the man whispered something before leaving the room. The vision ended abruptly, and the orb's light faded until it was nothing more than a smooth, glass sphere. What did we just see?" Afia asked, her voice trembling. Mr. Theo stared at the orb, deep in thought. "It's a memory," he said, "a piece of my family's history. My grandfather must have hidden the key and the map to protect whatever this is." Afia looked around the chamber. "But why? What's so important about this orb?" As if in answer, the orb began to glow faintly again. This time, words appeared on its surface. "The past is a guide, but the future is yours to shape." Mr. Theo reached out and touched the orb one last time. The room rumbled softly and a hidden compartment opened in the wall. Inside was a small leather-bound book with the same emblem as the key. Afia picked it up carefully. "What's this?" Mr. Theo opened the book, flipping through its pages. It was filled with his grandfather's handwriting, detailing stories, inventions, and secrets about the Harrison family. Among them was a passage about the orb. "It says here the orb is a source of knowledge," Mr. Theo read aloud. "It can show the past, but it can also reveal possibilities for the future. My grandfather believed it was too powerful to be left unprotected." Afia nodded, understanding. "That's why he hid it." Mr. Theo closed the book and looked at Afia. "I think we've done what we needed to do. The orb is safe, and now we know its purpose. My family's legacy is more than just wealth. It's about protecting something bigger." Afia smiled. "So what happens now?" Mr. Theo placed the book back into the compartment and closed it. The orb dimmed completely as if going to sleep. "We leave it here," he said. "It's not meant to be disturbed." They climbed back up the spiral staircase, leaving the chamber and its mysteries behind. As the trapdoor closed, it sealed with a faint glow, as though the mansion itself was guarding the secret. Back in the fountain room, Afia looked at Mr. Theo. "That was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced," she said. Mr. Theo grinned. "Me too. And I couldn't have done it without you, Afia." She laughed. "I'm just glad I opened the wrong door this morning." As they walked back to the main hall, the house felt different, warmer, almost alive. Afia couldn't shake the feeling that the mansion was pleased its secrets were in good hands. "Do you think there are more mysteries in this house?" Afia asked as they parted ways. Mr. Theo smiled knowingly. "Probably, but some mysteries are best left for another day." And with that, Afia returned to her cleaning duties, her heart still racing from the adventure. The mansion seemed quieter now, as if it had returned to its long, silent watch over its hidden secrets. But Afia knew one thing for sure. Life in Mr. Theo's mansion would never be ordinary again. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't hesitate to like the video and share it with your friends too. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell for more fascinating stories. Have a nice day.